What's going on, Internet? Welcome back to the URL versus IRL podcast. I am super excited for today's episode. I know you guys probably hear me say that all the time, but that is because I have a very, very special guest on today's episode. Now, the special guest that I'm going to have on this episode today was once my roomie, which is super fun. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this conversation, but not only was she my roommate, she is also an extremely talented creative. She's a photographer, a videographer, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And this is her first ever podcast, so let's be really nice, okay? And super encouraging. For the audio listeners, I'm just going to set the scene for you right now. I'm currently in Los Angeles, California. Very excited to be here. Super stoked to be staying with my old roomie for a little bit. We did a little sleepover last night. It was super fun. And her house is absolutely fucking gorgeous because she has a bunch of photos of hers hanging up all over the walls. I'm going to take pictures of them for you guys so you can see them on Instagram. But for now, let's roll the intro music and we'll get started. You're tuning into URL versus IRL. Hosted by Lynch. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm playing applause for you right now, just so you know.
Oh my God.
I'm going to do that just for you. Nobody's ever had applause before, but you specifically are going to get applause. Just because this is your first podcast. And I know it took a little bit of convincing to get you on here, but I'm really, really happy that you did decide to come here today.
Thanks. Yeah. I figured if I'm going to be comfortable doing a podcast with anyone, it'd probably be you.
I'm so glad you feel that way. Thanks. And also thanks for letting me film in your house. This is super nice of you.
Of course.
I was very nervous. I was like, where the fuck are we going to do this? Because my dad's house is like nice, but like not like aesthetically pleasing by any means. So,
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I understand how it goes.
Yeah. Also, you guys that are listening, Laura let me borrow a bunch of shit. I didn't bring any mic stands with me. I didn't bring an external light with me. I didn't bring a fan with me for my one camera that tends to overheat all the time. And she had everything set because you also are a photographer and videographer. Mm-hmm. So before we dig too deep into this, you want to give us a little bit of the lore? You want to tell us like where you started, where you're at now?
Where I started career-wise?
Yeah. Or, tell us your whole life story. Do whatever you want. This is a safe space.
All right. I'm going to preface this by saying that I hate talking about myself. So this is definitely a fun challenge for me. I grew up in France. I moved to America when I was 13. I moved to Oregon.
Damn.
I lived in Oregon for 10 years. And about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I moved to LA.
And moved in with me.
And moved in with you. Yeah.
Not anymore, but you did back then.
Right. Yeah. We met at a drift track.
Yeah.
And then we did like a little shoot together at Race Service.
Yep.
And you had a room opening. I was looking for a place to live,
yep.
So it worked out.
And our dogs got along great, which was fantastic for us.
Yeah.
What about photography? When did you start?
I started shooting as a kid. Like I always had, I guess they were my parents' cameras, but I would always just have those and take photos. And I enjoyed capturing photos. I don't know why. It was always something that I was drawn towards. And then I traveled a lot, and taking photos of my travels was something I really enjoyed. And that grew into kind of just bringing a camera everywhere. And I started shooting drifting because I was drawn to drifting and I liked hanging out at the track with my friends.
That's such an interesting thing to like really get into shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I just needed something to do at the track, and taking photos was like what I enjoyed doing, like anywhere I went.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and my photos were like well received, and it gave me something to do. I can't really sit still, and I wasn't like a driver, so yeah, it was just like a fun thing to do at the track.
Yeah.
And then it really helped me like grow as a photographer because track days are long. They're like 8 hours at least. So I put in like hours and hours of just shooting and editing, and so it like really helped me refine my skills.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably because you were a really good photographer. That's why your photos were received so well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like personally, when I first found your photography Instagram, I was like, holy shit, this girl is like doing something that other people are not doing with like drifting photography. Like I was just like, your images look so much different than any of the other drifting photography images that I had ever seen before. you know.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think that's because my background was like not automotive. I think a lot of people that take like automotive or like car photos start out shooting cars. But I think if you start out shooting like landscapes or anything else, then you're bringing like a different, eye to cars and automotive.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started off, well, you started shooting cars once you moved down to LA because you fell in love with shooting drifting.
Yeah.
Where did you feel like that took you in your career?
Where honestly,
Because you worked at a really big brand at one point.
yeah. So I moved to LA because I thought my career would just take off if I was in a place like LA.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think that.
Everyone that moves to Los Angeles thinks
They're like,
that,
oh, this
I
is
feel
the
like.
next step for my career. I'll move to LA. I'll make it big.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're in for a reality check.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that later. I guess I just like wanted to have more opportunity. Where I was living in Oregon, there really like besides like the local drift, like grassroots drift events, there really like wasn't much going on. Not that many people with cool cars, not that many car events. So besides like maybe like hot rod like annual meets,
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I thought if I was around it, LA has like one of the most like bustling. I don't think I've ever used the word bustling any other time, by the way.
Welcome to the podcast. We can do some weird shit sometimes.
I guess bussin'
Yeah.
is a better word. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in LA. So I thought, yeah, I'll move to LA and I'll see what happens and see like where I can take my career if like the opportunities are kind of everywhere.
Do you feel like you got any opportunities that you were looking for in Los Angeles?
Maybe. I think maybe there was probably opportunities, but I think I kind of fell out of love with it, like with shooting cars. I think what I didn't realize was that what I loved about shooting like drifting and cars was that it was something I did with my friends, and it was like a community thing in Oregon. And then I moved here and I didn't have community, so I was just like shooting cars and like they were cool cars, but there was like it kind of lost its like meaning a little bit, just because it was like I don't know these people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and like you get to know them, but you get to know them in like a different way because now it's business.
Exactly.
When you're getting to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. You did start working at an automotive brand for a little while, right? Like a pretty big one in Los Angeles.
Race Service.
Yeah, Race Service.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of like LA photographers' dreams.
Yeah.
To work at Race Service.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an awesome experience. I worked there for almost a year, and I love Race Service. I love the team there. But I think I just realized that like social media content creation is like kind of, it just burnt me out in general. It wasn't anything about Race Service or like even automotive, but it was just like creating content for the purpose of like being shared on social media, which I guess like what else are people creating content for these days? But like I think it was just like I was making reels all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like making reels is, I don't know, maybe some creatives enjoy it, but for me it's like the purpose is to like hook people in immediately, and it needs to move quick.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, people can still be creative and make content like that, but I feel like it just, you have to fit your content into a specific like box.
Yeah. Specific mold. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I didn't really enjoy that type of work. So I moved on to a different creative agency. And I worked there almost a year also. And I learned a lot about other creative work, like not necessarily in the automotive space, but in like brand and event marketing. And that was more of the same, like editing for social, like reels. And I just think like that type of work is like the longevity of that type of content is like 2 days, right? Like it's posted and then like 2 days later,
It's gone.
it's gone. No, like no one's gonna go look at. No, you know, it's like such a short lifespan,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's very low impact because like people are watching the content for like 3-4 seconds, maybe 10-15 if they watch the whole thing,
Yeah.
and then they keep scrolling and they forgot about it. Maybe they send it to a friend.
And it doesn't translate.
Yeah.
That's what's hard. Like, I think that I have a really hard time with that with my podcast Instagram a lot of the times, because I feel like with my podcast Instagram, I feel like I am seeing growth on my account, and I'm like seeing like all the time. It's like, oh, you're reaching like 6,100 accounts every week and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, awesome. But it doesn't translate over to listens, because that's where I really want people is
Right.
like to listen to the full length podcast. And I'm like, it's sure, like, it's great for people to see like the social media snippets and stuff that I put online, but like that's not what I'm here for. And like, quite frankly, that's usually not actually the full context of what we're talking about. It's not like the subject matter. It's just something entertaining to like try to catch you, to get you to go over to where I want you to go.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate. Like, some of my reels do freaking awesome on social media, and then they don't perform awesome in the actual listens and the plays, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. A lot of it's just like it's not very gratifying, like making reels. Like I feel like it has a very low impact on the viewer.
yeah. I feel like it's such an eye roll every time that I start to make a reel. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
how I feel every time that I'm doing that. I don't know if you felt the same, but I was like, oh God, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like in my reels, so I feel a little. I don't. Usually, it's a little different, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it burnt me out, and it wasn't fulfilling, and it wasn't like I wasn't feeling like inspired to create anymore. I was just like, "Ugh, I guess I need to create another reel, or like that was my day to day at work, and yeah, it just didn't do it for me anymore. And honestly, it gave me like a bit of a identity crisis. So I was like, oh shit, like these are two really cool jobs that I'm, you know, like years ago I would have been super happy to have or dreamt of having. And then here I am like really pretty unhappy and dissatisfied with like my day to day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, but I think what's sad, or what made me sad, was that like that's the reality of being a creative now in this day and age, is that you're like creating for social media, and there's not a lot of creativity left. So
So now you moved on from the other agency that you were working with also, and now you're freelancing.
I am.
Do you feel better?
Yeah, in a sense, I think pretty much like even before I moved to LA, I was like constantly feeling the pressure to create, and like constantly putting the pressure on myself to be like making content, posting content, and it was like this never ending like pressure. Like it's never enough, right? Like you post a reel, you post something on Instagram, a couple days later, you should post again.
Yeah,
And
it's like, what am I posting tomorrow?
Yeah, and it's like this never ending, like, I don't know,
Exhausting
monster you
cycle.
have to feed, you
Yep.
know?
Yes.
And that's exhausting. Like, I think as a creative, creatives aren't meant to be like constantly putting out work.
Well, yeah. I mean, most creatives, like, originally we didn't have 9 to 5s, you know? And
Right.
I think that like now suddenly with the growth of the internet and social media, like it's kind of becoming like a 9 to 5, because it's something that you have to do every single day,
Yeah.
or like, you know, multiple times a week, and you have to do things at certain times for the algorithm and all that other kind of stuff, which I feel like we can absolutely dig into. But I do have a question for you really quick. How difficult do you feel like, or what are like some of the challenges that you felt like you faced because you specifically entered a male dominated field as a woman? Because you were shooting cars, like you were in the automotive space.
Honestly, I think it gave me an advantage.
Okay, I'm glad. That's good, because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so glad that you said that, because I feel like sometimes with my stunt career, I think of myself that way too. Like I'm like, I kind of think of it as like my superpower, because I'm like, I feel like if I wasn't who I am and what I look like, I might not be in the same position that I'm in currently. You
Yeah.
know, if I had like the opposite description. How do you feel like that helped you in your career?
I think it helped me like stand out from everyone else. Like, I think my work stood out, and then I was not a guy with a camera.
Yeah.
So I think, and yeah, I think that helped me, but I don't want to say that it helped me that much.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, I think that like for me, like the first time that we ever worked together, like I was so excited because I felt like number one, I was like working with another girl, so I felt like I was like supporting another girl in a way, and then I also was like, oh, I don't have to worry about her being weird,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally.
Like I don't have to worry about her being weird, you know? Not as much
Yeah.
as guys anyway.
And I think that's like it's a double-edged sword. Like, obviously I stand out, but like to some people they're not going to want to work with a woman because like maybe it would make their wife uncomfortable, or like it's guys just feel more comfortable working with other men sometimes.
Yeah.
It just depends on it's like a case by case thing.
True.
Yeah.
True. Well, now you just shot your first short film, right? Mm-hmm. That's super exciting. How's that going for you in the editing process? So probably a lot.
Yeah. The editing process is just starting. It's definitely like the longest project I've worked on, probably ever.
What did you shoot?
So my partner, Palmer, is a drifter, I guess.
Yeah.
It's weird to say.
It's such a weird, like, I feel like it's such a weird, like, way to call yourself, like, an athlete. I feel like that's, like, the
Yeah.
weirdest thing. Like, you know, gymnastics, you have, like, a gymnast, or, like,
Yeah.
you know, football.
Yeah.
You're, like, a football player.
He's
and
an
then
athlete.
a driver.
Yeah. He's a driver.
Yeah.
So we documented his entire, like, car refresh and all the hard work that goes into that. All the way to like the drift event that he refreshed his car for. And actually the reason we wanted to do it was, well, to document the whole process so we could have it for ourselves, but also to like show people how much work goes into drifting and like building a car and getting to these events that typically you're only seeing like clips of the car on track
Real quick,
or the
yeah.
photos of the car done. People don't see like all the hard work that goes into it. So yeah, that was kind of the idea, and it just kind of like snowballed into like a bigger and bigger project, and we ended up filming for like almost 3 months. And
Whoa, that's huge.
yeah,
That's a lot of footage.
yeah,
You
it
know?
is.
Do you know how much space that's taking up on your hard drive?
It's like 2.5 terabytes. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but it's fun because, like, again, what I've been doing for years is, like, making short form content for Instagram.
Yeah.
And so it's really exciting to, like, make something that hopefully has an impact on people and that they actually sit down and watch all of. And I don't know how long it's going to end up being, but
I was going to say, do you have like a guesstimation of like how long you want it to be?
it's probably going to be like at least, I would think, an hour and a half.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God, I can't wait.
I'm hoping it's like something people sit down and watch like as they would watch a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's like re-inspired me. Like, I didn't realize, like, I think just making content that was tailored for Instagram, like, really creatively burnt me out. And so it's been nice to, like, make something that is not for Instagram. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Heck yeah. You're also shooting weddings now too.
I am shooting weddings now.
That's new.
Yeah,
Are you doing video for weddings as well, or just photos?
I am. Right now I'm just kind of like getting whatever
Whatever
wedding
you can
work
get, yeah.
I could get.
Whatever you can take.
I think the goal is to just shoot weddings on film. So I
Ooh.
really enjoy doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's something we haven't really mentioned yet.
No.
I mostly shoot 35 millimeter film.
Yeah.
That's
And you're
my bread and
damn
butter.
good at it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I just enjoy that process a lot more. I think like it forces you to slow down. With digital cameras, you can just kind of spray and pray and take like 1,000 photos, and then you have like 1,000 photos to sort through and edit.
Yeah.
And film, you have to be a lot more intentional
Yeah.
with each shot because, you know, there's 36 frames per roll, and it's like
They're
about
expensive too.
$30 to $40 per roll, like when all's said and done.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, and then there's very minimal editing as well.
True. Are you still selling your prints? Because you were selling prints for a while.
Not currently, no.
Damn.
Yeah, maybe I should.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I think you should.
Maybe
I was
should
looking at
just
your
have
stuff
some up.
online and I was like, I need to buy something so I can put it in my
Oh.
house. But we didn't have our like gallery wall up at our house yet. And I was like, where would it go? Where would I put it? And I didn't know like how many photos we had to put up. And I was like, I need to wait until
Yeah.
I'm finished putting that up. And now it's up and now you don't sell them anymore.
Well, maybe by the time this podcast is out, I'll have prints back up.
Hell
so.
yeah, I love that. Hell yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to travel for work quite a couple of times. Can you tell us one of your favorite stories of traveling for your job as a photographer, videographer?
I think that's a tough one. For work, I would say...
Or just traveling with your camera in general.
Yeah. I'm going to answer the first question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the most memorable work trip I had was going to New York for... so the agency I was working for did like put on events with Lululemon, so I got to go to New York for it was my first time going to New York. I think that's why it was so memorable. Like the work itself was like whatever, but
were you in the city? Did you like it to stay
yeah,
like, in the city?
Yeah, we're in like Manhattan. So.
Oh my god, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were working with Lululemon basically then.
With Lululemon, and I had like a 10-day trip to New York where, you know, I was like staying in a nice hotel and all my food was covered.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is the life.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What did you get to like shoot at the event? Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So it was like a Lululemon pop-up. They were like releasing a new line of clothing. So I was just shooting like the like events at the pop-up. They had like Shay Mitchell came, I think you remember. Like
yeah, you got to photograph Shay Mitchell.
I got to photograph Shay Mitchell, which I didn't even know who she was. So, but
literally, she's so many like girls' gay awakening. I feel like
interesting.
Yeah, because she played a lesbian on Pretty Little Liars, or she was queer on Pretty Little Liars. I don't know that she was technically lesbian, but she liked girls in Pretty Little Liars. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much about her, so I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, and then she also, I think, a couple other things that she's done. She's played a queer woman as well. So she was like a lot of girls, like gay awakening. I feel like she's so pretty.
She's
so
very
nice
pretty.
to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like very easy to photograph. She just stood there and she looked perfect. So
Yeah, she like freaking kills it with photos. It seems like her Instagram is fucking popping. I have a couple of her suitcases because she has a suitcase line. It's called Base.
Really?
Yeah, they're really nice, like super nice suitcases. Like would totally recommend them to anybody. Only thing I don't like is that there's no outer sleeve for like a laptop or something on like your carry-on.
Oh.
Hopefully she does that one day. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's got like a little luggage line or whatever. Not little. She's fucking Shay Mitchell. She has
Yeah.
like nice luggage line. And yeah, the stuff is actually really good and high quality. Was she nice?
Yeah. She was nice. She, you know, it was like very transactional. Like
Quick
they paid her
interaction.
to be there.
Yeah.
They just wanted photos of her there and then she left. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like she wasn't there for long.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was work for her.
How much time did you get to shoot her for? Like, do you know what the duration of time was?
Maybe like 10 minutes.
Wow. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Yeah. So you got to work quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of photography stuff is like, this is your shot, get it. Like you can't reshoot this.
Yeah.
Like, so, but I think again, like shooting drifting really prepped me for that because like with drifting, it's like the car's going by and then it's gone. And like, you don't have time to like reframe or like you need to have everything ready to go and like be ready for your shot or it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your most exciting part about being in New York? Well, I mean, obviously New York City and then photographing Shay Mitchell and working with fucking Lululemon.
Yeah, I think at that point I felt like, oh, like I fucking made it. Like I'm good, you know. Yeah, so that was like a memorable trip and it was really fun and I think it was like kind of a dream come true.
I'm
like
sure.
Completely paid for a trip. But then you come home and you're like, okay, what's the next job?
Yeah, what's next?
How do I keep jobs like this coming in? So
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured that out yet.
Oh, man. So you started off as a photographer, though, and then you made your way over to video.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you made your way over to video because of social media?
I made my way over to video because I was working as like a in-house photographer for a like herbal supplement company, and my boss essentially was wanting to like start a YouTube channel so we could like make product videos and show people like how to use the herbs. And so I did not know how to do video.
Yeah.
But I was working that job for 5 years, so I
Wow.
learned pretty much from zero to like fully shooting and directing and editing YouTube videos.
It's a lot. Video is a lot of work.
It is.
I feel like.
Yeah, it's a lot more. Well, I don't want to say it's more work than photo, but it requires a lot of different skills.
Yeah.
So, whereas like photos, I mean, there's a lot of skills required to shoot
yeah.
nice photos as well, but
I feel like the gear is a lot different too. Like with video, you're
Yeah.
lugging a lot more gear.
Definitely.
Unless if you're like maybe shooting like in studio or something and you have to like carry a bunch of like flashes and strobe lights and stuff like that
Right.
with you. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think video is I personally feel like for me with video, when I switched over from photo to video, I was like, this is so much heavier amount of stuff that I have to carry. And then it also felt like I had to pay a lot more attention to detail because I can't fix things later. Either that or like I refuse to.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I am not going to learn how to like block all of this stuff out. Like half the time, even with like the podcast, when I'm like now editing the videos for the podcast, I'm like, I don't want to censor someone's mouth if they say something that they wish they wouldn't have. Like, even if I do like the audio censor, that's fine, but I don't want to like make it track the person and all that. So I'll just like switch the camera angle to myself so you can't like read the person's lips or whatever. But yeah, I feel like video is a ton of work. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, so let's talk about, I think, how social media has impacted, I think, the shape of like your creativity and photography and like looking through a lens in general. Do you feel like it's made like a huge difference on like how you see things? Are you like, oh, I have to shoot it this way for like Instagram?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think like social media is such a double-edged sword because in the beginning it was like a platform to share my work and like receiving positive feedback on your work like is something that helps keep you going in the beginning. And honestly all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think then like when the algorithm became more of a thing, like I think around the time like reels were popping,
Yeah.
like then photos like pretty much stopped performing on social media. So if you're a photographer, you're like, what am I supposed to do now?
It's kind of still like that right now, I feel like, don't you?
Yeah. I think that's a little bit better. It's a little bit more balanced. I think when like Instagram was really pushing reels, like if you were posting photos, it was like not doing well at all.
Yeah, they
like
were
reels
like,
would just
"You're
like
punished."
randomly like go viral, even though it was just like the shittiest iPhone clip.
Yeah.
Like, so they were like really trying to get people to post reels.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like, I think I would even like I started shooting most everything vertically, which for like I did that for a couple years, and now I'm like finally starting to shoot horizontally because I'm not really shooting to post on Instagram anymore.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
You don't feel like that's like making an impact on you, like, or your career, I guess?
not post. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's Yeah, I think it is. Like, I think I could probably get more work if I was like more consistently posting. But I was like changing what I would be shooting because it would be for Instagram. And I know what's going to do well on Instagram. And that it's not like creative. It doesn't feel creative at that point.
Do you feel like you were changing your style a little bit to fit what Instagram wanted?
I don't know if I was changing my style. Like photography wise, no. But for video and reels, I think you have to because only certain things are going to do well in reels. It has to move quickly or it has to have like a hook that keeps someone watching.
Yeah.
Which isn't like really naturally how you would edit something.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because you want to tell a whole story usually.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't really tell a whole story in
15 seconds.
30 seconds,
Yeah.
15 seconds.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it kind of like, well, it probably affected your pace as well. like the amount of workload that you were putting on yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's like a never ending, like, it's like a black hole where you're just dumping content and you're not getting paid for it.
No.
So you're constantly feeling pressured to produce and be creative and somehow post something that was better than the last post that you made 2-3 days ago.
Yep.
Because if a post performed really well and then the one after gets half as much engagement, then you're going to feel shitty, or you're going to feel like it wasn't as good. And yeah, I think as a creative, it's really hard. Like, social media is like a really hard place to exist, because if you have one post that goes viral, and then you're going to feel amazing.
Yeah, of course.
And then the bar is set so high
Yeah.
that anything after that is not going to feel as good. And it's going to feel like you're not, putting good work out there. But it's really just the algorithm that's like deciding, what to show people. And then, yeah, I think it can be a really like dangerous place for a creative to exist.
Absolutely. And I feel like there's so much pressure to create when you're there too, which is like kind of could be good or could be bad,
Right.
because like I appreciate the fact that I get a little bit of pressure and a little bit of a push to continue being creative, but like I feel like creativity is not always a thing that can be forced either.
Right.
And that sucks when you have to like force yourself into being creative, because then are you really even doing it? Like, are you really putting your love and your passion into it anymore? Or are you just creating to keep up with the game in a sense,
Exactly.
That sucks. Do you feel like the people that you were being hired by had certain expectations of you because of the stuff that they were seeing on social media, like from other people? Were they like ever showing you like, oh, I want to do this?
No, actually that never happened. I think
Nice.
like most of my freelance work, when I was making reels, was like for drivers and like drift events. So like clips of them driving, essentially.
Yeah, which like you're like, I can make you look like that if you can drive like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just drive well as long as your car runs like that, you're gonna get footage. And I think like people in general are just excited to have footage of themselves driving.
Yeah.
Even if the quality is not amazing.
Yeah.
Like
they get stoked on iPhone clips. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like the bar is set pretty low. Like people are just happy to have like footage of themselves.
Yeah.
So
what about for like weddings and stuff now? Are people like, oh, I like this kind of thing? Or do they find you? And then...
Yeah, typically people find me because they like my work. And actually most of my wedding work comes from like people I've met through drifting. So that's kind of a cool crossover.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Such a new environment.
Yeah.
I feel like you probably capture weddings like super well though.
I try. Yeah. I think shooting automotive stuff and like being at drift events has like kind of weathered me as a creative. Like I can fucking, I can stand in the sun for 10 hours and like not get paid that much.
Yeah.
So at a wedding, I'm like, this is a piece of cake.
Yeah. You're like, this is great.
Yeah.
Do you shoot with 2 cameras at weddings?
I do.
Is that like a weird thing for you now, where you like have 2 cameras? Because I feel like at the track, I don't know.
At the track, I would. Well, I would have 2 cameras if I was shooting film and video. So no, it's not weird. It's actually really nice to have 2 cameras to switch back and forth between. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh man, do you feel okay? So another social media question for you. Do you feel like social media was limiting in a sense for you?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel like? What makes you feel like that?
Well, I think I found like success with social media shooting like cars, and it got to a point where I was like kind of sick of shooting cars, but I knew that's the type of stuff that did well.
Yeah, that was your audience.
That was my audience. So then I would like want to post something else, and if I did, then it wouldn't perform well, and like I think to an extent, if you're on social media, like you need to learn how not to be affected by things not doing well.
It's called turn off your like count.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
it's called, hide
Yeah.
like count.
Or you can just not care that some of your followers won't even see this or won't like it because it's not a car.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's something that I dealt with so much with my Helmet Hair account, that I was just like, these
Yeah.
people aren't even here for me. They just want to see my stupid car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Damn. So did you post what you wanted anyway, or you were just like,
I honestly kind of just like stopped posting altogether.
good for you for not like making another account just to make a whole new audience, and like,
Yeah, I think like
I feel like you can do that too. That's what I do anyway.
it took me years to like build my following. And then actually I found that like the more followers I had, the harder it was to post, because then I felt like my audience was like bigger and like I had more people
Oh, it's probably
to
intimidating then.
Yeah, it's more intimidating.
Yep. I can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's like I don't know. I think I just realized how much of an impact social media was having on me that was not positive, that I just decided to like kind of remove myself altogether. Like for years I was like posting almost daily stories and trying to post like at least once or twice a week, and I just like I was also in my personal life just going through a rough time, and it felt really like inauthentic to like still be posting stories like everything is like fine, but I kind of just lost all motivation to like update anyone on my life and try to make it seem like I was having a good time, because I wasn't. So yeah, I think it just felt fake to me, and it felt like I was like only, and I know that your podcast is kind of about that, but like showing people only part of the truth.
Yeah.
And it felt better to just not be on social media than to like pretend at that point. And then once I got out of the habit of posting consistently, like especially stories, then it felt kind of really bizarre to be like sharing my life on Instagram again. Like it felt like I kind of lost the, like I don't really, I mean, even like watching other people's stories, sometimes I feel like I'm like, why do I met this person like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Why do I still know what they're doing with their life? Like this is taking up like part of my brain.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to. Like
Yeah.
I actually don't really care about this person, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it just takes a lot more like mental capacity than people realize.
Yeah.
And then I also realized that like I wanted my real life to feel good. I didn't want like my online life to have like, you know, that much pull or power over how I was feeling. So I just focused on like disconnecting from social media and connecting with people in real life.
Good for you.
Yeah. And now it feels overwhelming to be on social media.
Yeah. How do you feel like you made the disconnect? Like, what did you do actively to like get away from that and try to focus on your real life?
I would just like delete the app for a few weeks. And that was really uncomfortable at first. And that's what made me realize that it was like actually a problem.
I get so scared that I'm going to like get logged out of my account and never be able to get back in by like deleting the app. I don't think I've ever deleted
They
Instagram.
make it really easy to log back on.
I've seen so many people that are like, I can't get back into my Instagram account. Like,
do you not know your password?
I don't know my passwords to anything. I have too many damn accounts.
Well, as long as you have it saved,
yeah,
you'll be able to get back on.
So scared.
Because they actually make it very easy. Like even if you delete Instagram, once you re-download it, you just click like sign in. You don't even have to type in your password. Like it remembers that you had it on your phone.
I mean, I get like so nervous every time I even like update my phone. I'm like, is it gonna log me out of all of my stuff?
Were you logged in on other devices?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so you'd be fine.
True.
Yeah.
I'm still not deleting it though.
Yeah. I mean, I had to. I was just like, didn't want to be on there anymore. And I was just in a place where like I was feeling guilty about not posting if I was on there.
Oh,
and I would see other creatives like constantly posting, like out there making awesome shoots happen. And then that would make me feel bad because I was like, I wasn't shooting that much at that time. And it just was, I was putting a bunch of pressure on myself if I got on the app and comparing myself to creatives that are like out there, you know, seemingly doing really well.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I think social media can be hard if you're having a hard time, because then you see everybody else having a great time and you're like, why am I not like doing as well as they are?
I feel like if we posted like more of the real life shit on social media of like the stuff that we're actually dealing with and what our actual day-to-day lives look like let's say that we are actually still using it daily like most people are.
Yeah.
But we were actually like showing what we were really doing. Like, I'm at the fucking grocery store, or I'm taking my dog for a walk, blah, blah, blah. And not everything was like so big and bad and like this bigger thing. Do you feel like we would be better off?
No.
No.
Yeah, I think we'd be better off spending as little time on social media as we can.
How
That's
often
my
do you think you're on
opinion.
social media now?
I have like an app on my phone that restricts the amount of time I can spend on there, because otherwise I'll just like, if I'm doing something I don't feel like doing, like editing,
Yeah, I do that a lot.
then all of a sudden I'm like on my phone scrolling and I'm like, how did that happen? So
Yeah, it takes me hours to like edit a podcast episode because I don't want to edit.
Right.
You know, it's not that I don't care about the podcast or I don't want to edit the podcast episode. It's like I literally just don't want to be sitting here in front of the computer. So then I'll like pick up my phone and distract myself.
Exactly.
I feel like generally on a like day-to-day basis, I'm not too bad about like constantly being on my phone. I do resonate a lot with you saying that you were comparing yourself to other creatives or like feeling like guilty for not posting after a little while or like, you know, after a couple days. I literally was looking at myself earlier this like yesterday or something and I was like, fuck, it's Friday. I only posted about the podcast twice during the week.
Yeah, and that's good.
Shit, not for me. I think I have like a schedule for myself. So I'll usually make like 5 reels, try to use 2 of them as stories so that I'm not just reposting my reels on stories. I'll post 3 reels during the week if I can, and make sure to remind people on Sundays to listen and one more time on Monday before the episode comes out on Tuesday. And if I have time during the week and I don't feel like I feel annoying because I don't want to spam people, I'll post like a carousel from the episode. So it's a lot of posting.
Yeah, that's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
What is the app called that you use?
It's called OPAL.
What does it do? Like, has it?
So, I'm not like trying to promote their app, but it actually has worked well for me. I just use the free version. There's like a paid version that makes it so you can't like access Instagram even if you decide that you need to randomly throughout the day. But yeah, it just lets you like block certain apps for however long you want. I just have it set to like blocking Instagram from like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. so that like I'm productive all day, and then if I need to get on there to post something or to like check DMs or whatever, or if I decide that I want to give myself 5 minutes to scroll, then you can like have the app release the lock and let you in.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I downloaded it last night, you guys. For those of you that are listening, Laura and I were talking about this last night when we did our little sleepover. And it's really cool. It locked me out of Facebook this morning when I was trying to post something on Marketplace. I was like trying to like post one of this XLR cord that I'm using because I ordered a different color. And it was like, sorry, Facebook is not available right now. And I was like, fuck it, just unlock it. I'm trying to post something right now, like just to. But that was different though, because I was like trying to sell something on Marketplace. Like I was like,
yeah, totally.
But this morning, it actually did help me a lot because I got so much done this morning. I was like, oh my god, I can't even like just get on Instagram and start scrolling. I was up at like 6:45 for some reason, and I was like, okay, what else can I do right now then? And then I grabbed my laptop and started editing instead. So yeah, Opal's really cool, you guys. I feel like I love the app so far, even though I just downloaded it like less than 12 hours ago. But I like it a lot right now. Like it's nice, you know, like for me, I'm like, okay, this is gonna like force me to like schedule the stuff that I'm uploading and like not have to do anything else to it, you know, because my screen time, we checked my screen time last night, it was fucking crazy. Do you want to compare screen times?
I don't have my phone on me.
Good for you.
Yeah. But I looked at it yesterday, and yeah, I think my screen time was like scaring me at one point.
How bad do you think yours was?
I know so when I was working a desk job, I would pretty much compulsively get on Instagram, and I think I was spending like 3 to 4 hours a day on Instagram,
Yeah.
which is kind of insane.
That is a lot. I don't remember what my screen time was yesterday for Instagram. I think it was kind of low though, right? Didn't we say mine was like an hour?
It was like 58 minutes or something. I was
Yeah,
like, nice.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's not horrible. It's not the worst. But I did have like an average of like 9 hours and 38 minutes on my phone, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I mean, most of mine, it said that it was taken up by, like, messages, and I think that that's part of because of, like, the fact that I'm traveling right now and, like, constantly communicating with people and stuff like that. But, yeah, Opal's great. I love it. I'm not going to have it block me from my messages because that's a little much.
I mean, you can decide what apps are problematic for you.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just, like, I would be trying to get something done, and all of a sudden, I'm, like, scrolling on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
I just wanted to like limit that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of scary to me that like we're subconsciously reaching for our phones and opening the app like
Yeah,
without
tell
even
me-
realizing.
Dude, yeah, my screen time, like, app on the default iPhone thing yesterday told me, what did I have? Like, I think like 189 pickups or something like that of my phone. I was like, bitch, what did you do? Check the time 189 times yesterday? Like, for what reason? And I feel like yesterday I wasn't even on my phone that much because I was here. Like, I was, like, here with you, and we were, like, editing a little bit, and then we went on a hike and, like, all that other kind of stuff. And I just feel like that's still a lot. It's a lot. So going back to, like, I guess just, like, career talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, number one, have you been enjoying video over photo more? Did I ask you that already? I don't think so.
No, you didn't. I think there's such different, like, practices. Is that a good word for it?
Yeah, that's a great word.
That I feel more challenged doing video.
I agree. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel the same way.
It's more rewarding,
Okay.
I think, because it's so much harder to put together a good video.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think maybe it's just because I've been shooting for longer, like, photos, that kind of felt easy. It feels very easy and natural for me to shoot photos at this point, but video is still, like, a challenge. I feel like I'm seeing more progress there. Like, every time I shoot something, I'm making it a little bit better. And, like, whereas I feel like with photography, maybe I've, like, plateaued, and, like, unless my subject matter is, like, insane, I feel like my skills are pretty sharp. So
They are super sharp. That's such an interesting word for you to use. When you said plateaued, I was like, I always think of plateau in, like, a bad way, where it's like, okay, this is it. Can't do much more than this. But I mean, your skills are, like, super duper sharp. So I feel
Thanks.
like, I mean, but you're, like, up here. Maybe if you feel like you're plateauing, you're, like, still, like, up here. Though.
Right, but it's like now to shoot something better than the last, it's hard for me to do. I'm like, fuck, like,
It's because you're that fucking good.
I mean, thanks, I appreciate that, but it's like, how do I keep improving? Like, obviously there's still different stuff I can try, and I try to, like, you know, shoot in different lighting than I'm typically used to, or like challenge myself with a new subject, but I still feel like video right now feels a little bit more rewarding.
Okay.
Just because it's harder for me.
Yeah.
So if I, like, can impress myself with something I've made with a video, I'm like, oh, like, I'm getting better.
Okay, so you said that you feel like video is more rewarding than photo. What's interesting for me is if I were to put myself in your shoes, I think the one thing that I would miss about photos is that they are like a tactile thing that you can hold in your hand and hang up on your wall in your house.
Yeah.
You ever feel like that? Or you ever
Yeah,
like,
I mean-
damn, I wish I'd...
Yeah, okay,
could
so that's
freeze
actually
this?
really interesting because, like, Palmer and I went to Final Bout, which is a drift event in Shawano, Wisconsin, and I was mostly shooting video, like, because I was pretty much shooting the documentary the whole time, but I really missed, like, having, like, taking stills, because that's not, like, I can hang the documentary up on the wall.
Yeah.
So it felt weird. Like, at the end of the weekend, I was like, I did shoot a little bit of film, but, like, not nearly as much as I would if I was not shooting video. So So yeah, I feel like photos, it's better for like shooting, for having memories, but video is better for telling a story. So,
Yeah. I'm going to like kind of go off course here a little bit. When I was in film school, when I graduated from film school, my teacher said something really interesting to me. His name was Jack, and he was like my directing teacher. And he was like, I feel like the student that made the most progress, he was like doing like a little speech at the end of our class or whatever. And he was like, I feel like the student that made the most progress in this course that we did was probably Brianna, which I was like, oh my God, yay. Like, instantly sweating. Like, I was like so excited that he was like talking about me. And then he was like, I feel like you showed the most progress, but I feel like one area that you could improve in is your cinematography. And I was like, that like I felt like a heart, like a knife got stabbed in my heart when he said that, because I was like, that's like half of the fucking battle, with like video, or like to get somebody to like watch your video. Like the one thing that people that don't know what they're watching are gonna compliment is how pretty it was and like what it looks like, and like the cinematography is like a word that people just throw around all over the place. And I was like, damn, you just said I'm a really bad cinematographer. Well, he said I'm a great storyteller, but he's like, but your cinematography could really use some work. And I was like, fuck. So then I did this challenge for myself where after I graduated from film school, I moved over to photography. So I kind of worked my way backwards. I like started with video, ended up at photo, and then went back to video after that. And I kind of moved my way into photography because I was talking to a friend of mine. Her name's Rebecca. And she, like, when I told her about that, and I was just like so upset, I was like crying in her car about what my teacher said. And she was like, well, why don't you like practice photography? Because it's the only thing that you can do is show the picture. So if he's saying that you need better, like if you need to work better on like the picture that's on screen, like just focus on the picture for once. So I did this like interesting little challenge for myself for a fucking year. I bought a photo printer because of this. I did an interesting challenge for myself for a year that I would take a descriptive photo of my day every single day for a year. So like I would like construct or like I guess like put together a photo and like stage a photo every single day that would describe what my biggest part of my day was. And I always made sure that I set it up. It wasn't like something that I just like was like at the beach. I'm like take a picture of the fucking beach. You know what I mean? Like I would like try to like put certain things in frame to make it like, so I could like show what book I was reading and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that helped me with my videography. And then I started vlogging, and then all of that went out the fucking window because like I wasn't like setting a bunch of stuff up for myself or for somebody else anymore. Like it was mostly just like filming what was happening and that kind of thing. But it was really interesting to like be able to do that. So maybe like when you're intentionally shooting, like if you continue shooting short films, maybe you can like try to make sure that you like take a second to take one descriptive photo of whatever it is that you're capturing then, so that you can still like hang it on your wall. I wish that we had like your photos anywhere here.
I know.
This is all
They're
like
all mostly
graphic
in my
stuff.
office. Yeah.
This is all the graphic stuff. I'm probably gonna take photos of your office if you're cool with that. So
Yeah,
I can,
that's
like,
fine.
show the Instagram and stuff. Speaking of Instagram, do you feel like your numbers on your Instagram account ever made you feel like that was affecting your opportunities or like your worth as a creative? Would you like compare the two directly?
No, I never tried to do any like sort of influencer stuff.
Yeah.
Like where it was like promoting some brand, or I never did anything like that, so I don't think so.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think like honestly my follower count I don't think has, and I don't have that many. I have like 15,000, which like in the grand scheme of thing is not that much compared to like other photographers.
Yeah, but like that's still a lot though.
Yeah, but honestly, like, it kind of lost, the followers kind of lost its meaning for me, like, because I think for, like, years, it was hard to, like, grow followers. And then reels were a thing, and you have one reel that does well, and all of a sudden you have, like, 10,000 more followers. So it's, like, kind of fast-tracked, like, getting followers. So to me, it's not necessarily like a reflection of someone's like skill, because you could, have content that goes viral with very little skill. It just depends on the content. So
Yeah, there's so many iPhone videos that go viral.
yeah, it's mostly iPhone videos.
Yeah, it's true.
On Instagram. So
Do you think that Instagram favors that over like people that are trying harder with like professional cameras and stuff? Because they have to be able to like read where it comes from, right?
I
would
don't
think.
know. I don't think Instagram favors that. I think in general, people are posting more content that comes from an iPhone just because that's what they have.
Yeah.
So I think like that's why that's the majority of what goes viral.
Yeah. There's so many freaking iPhone viral videos. As far as like getting, I guess when you do have like such a high following account, because 15,000 is a lot. Like even though you think it's like this small little number, I feel like that's a lot. Like anything in the thousands is like a lot. When you put it in the grand scheme of things, you're like, do I know 15,000 people? No. But
Yeah.
like 15,000 people know
Sure,
you.
yeah.
You know. Do you feel like you've gotten criticism on your work on the internet?
No, I have never gotten criticism on my work. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah. I mean, like the only times there's been any kind of criticism would be like if there was like, let's say it's like a picture of a model with a car, like someone would be like, oh, like why is there a model? Like I just want to see the car.
Yeah, get out of the way. Let me see the fucking
But
car.
that's not really offensive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an annoying comment, but yeah, for some reason, I've never got any criticism on my work. So I've never been like internet bullied or like, anything like that, luckily.
That's so nice. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't get a lot of internet hate either, which is really nice. That's probably why I have a halfway decent relationship with the internet. But like, I don't know. I think if I was a bigger creator, then maybe I would have gotten some hate. I got like a little bit, but like nothing crazy. And then like some of the people that I had that were already following me would be like, dude, shut up. Like,
Yeah.
literally stop.
Yeah, I also barely ever post myself.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. How often do you post now?
like once a month,
That's crazy that you can still have like such a high following with posting once a month.
I guess.
It
I don't
is.
know.
Yeah, dude. Because like a lot of, I mean, I don't know. When I compare it to like my old account, like I probably have lost like 8,000 followers or so, maybe like 7,000.
Yeah, but you posted that your account was inactive.
True, but even my YouTube channel has jumped down by like a decent amount
Interesting.
too. Yeah, which is crazy. Like people were just like, "Oh, you're not doing anything anymore. We're unfollowing you," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine, I guess." There was something that you started talking about in the beginning of this podcast, which was like your mental health and like how often you were getting burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit. Do you feel like you were getting burnout from the fact that there was like a constant demand for you to be
Yes.
creating?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like a mix of things. Like I don't want to sound like a social media basher. Like I think for some people maybe it just depends on your relationship with it. And I think just having a creative career, like you're kind of asking for trouble with social media just because you feel the need to constantly post. And obviously that's not like realistic if you have a life.
Yeah. I mean, like you can schedule things ahead of time and stuff like that, but like
Yeah, but then you need to have something to schedule.
Ahead
So
of time,
like
yeah.
if you're shooting for the purpose of posting stuff on social media and then let's say you have a couple posts that don't do well, then you're like, why am I doing this? Like this is taking up so much time.
Yep.
And I think it really is a gamble, like with social media. If you're posting frequently, like some posts are going to do really good and seemingly randomly some posts are not going to do good at all. And then like if you're kind of sensitive or if it's something that you really liked and enjoyed making, then you're going to like feel some type of way. It feels kind of like a rejection of sorts. So yeah, and I think it takes like vulnerability to put out your work too.
Yeah.
So it's like it feels very vulnerable to share what you've made with the world, and then if it's like no one likes it, then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this kind of hurts.
Yeah, it does. It
So.
absolutely does. Do you feel like the pressure from social media has affected your relationship with your craft? Not necessarily like posting, but does it make you not even want to pick up your camera sometimes?
I think overall, I don't want to say that it was social media's fault, but I like experienced some pretty heavy burnout just with creating in general. It was probably in part because I had put so much pressure on myself to like keep creating, keep posting, like always make something better than the last time. But I think there's like a lot of other factors. It wasn't just because it was social media.
You also were like doing it for work for someone
Yeah,
else
exactly.
too.
Exactly. It's just like too much like output, not enough like input, like what actually makes me feel good. It's just like produce, produce, produce.
Yeah.
But then like
And there's now like a time limitation too. So like you can't necessarily be like a perfectionist and maybe be like, did you feel like that was making it hard for you to be like super proud of your work because it had to be rushed and like have like a time limit?
no, I actually think I work pretty fast.
Okay.
Like it was never I never felt like a lot of pressure like to turn things around quickly. And it is work. Like it's not like everything you're gonna make is you're gonna be your proudest like social media video.
Yeah,
Like
true.
especially if it's for someone else, it's usually like you're getting handed all the pieces and it's like just edit this, and then you make an edit and then you get feedback on it, you make a few changes, and then it's done.
Yeah.
It's not like I came up with the idea. Like every piece wasn't like feeling very vulnerable, like I put myself out there creatively, because it's like, oh, this is the interview and this is the clips, like the b-roll, like make, edit this to a 15-second video. It's like, all right, I can do that. It wasn't like, Laura, like share with us like your favorite clips that you've shot, and like let's post that. It was never like that. So if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realized I don't think I ever even said your name on the podcast once.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I can't remember how we started the podcast.
Anyways, okay, let's talk about like I guess the future of where you think all of this is kind of going for us.
Us? Or
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm noticing other people also seemingly feeling really burnt out about Instagram. And I think all of my favorite creators and photographers, I've all noticed they'll disappear for a little while. And then maybe they come back and start posting again. And some of them like don't. So I think like I don't know what the future is for like social media and like creative work, because I feel like the problem with Instagram too is I guess now they're kind of paying people to post their content, but
Yeah, a couple pennies.
like YouTube at least you get some return on your time investment. With Instagram, your return is like likes and followers, which don't translate into money most of the time. So it just feels like, what's the point of putting all this time into, like, I think you have to be really strategic and you have to be very disciplined to make it, to turn like your social media following into some kind of money. And you need to be directing people away from Instagram to like maybe buying something from you or to your YouTube channel or to your podcast.
Yep.
Because I think people's attention spans on Instagram is very short, and it's like also Instagram knows when you're sharing something that you're trying to sell, and they're not going to show that to people.
Yep.
So, and people just in general aren't really on Instagram to buy stuff.
Right.
So like they're just going to scroll past whatever.
Yeah.
Like they feel is an ad. So
That's very true.
So I think it's like, it's a double-edged sword, because the more time you put into Instagram, the more like followers you can get. But then if you're not doing anything with those followers and it's just like kind of a status thing, then like you're not really profiting off of all of the time that you're putting into building your following.
It's so true. And it's so fucked up that like we literally look at like social status as like, based on like your following count a lot of the times now.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that shit either.
Yeah.
It feels gross.
It does feel gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why we do that, but for some reason now, like, everybody's like, if you have a high Instagram following, then you must be like a really cool person, and like people get like nervous to like meet
Yeah,
people
and then all
because
of a
of
sudden
that.
you will have however many followers you think is high number, and then you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like literally anyone can do this.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes time and dedication, and
Yeah.
I think it's like there's a way better use of your time
Yeah.
than to try to like be popular on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that hasn't for me translated into like a successful career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like my time would have been way better off like networking, spending that time like out at events,
Mm-hmm.
or creating like long form content for YouTube rather than like, because I spent years like making essentially content for Instagram, and I feel like my return on all of that time, it maybe got me like 10 shoots.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, granted, like 10 shoots I was excited about,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
which is not that much.
Right.
Like that's maybe 2 or 3 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, when you put it in
And
perspective like
and
that,
now
it's
that
like,
I'm not really active,
mm-hmm.
I don't think anything's coming from it. So it's like, okay, why did
Put all
I
that
guess I
work
have to
in.
keep putting more work in for it to keep generating, which makes sense. Like it's
Yeah.
like anything you do, you can't just like stop and expect work to still come to you.
Yeah.
But
It's hard working for yourself too, because you're like literally the only one that can make you do it. You're the only person giving yourself like deadlines and
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think like Instagram it can help discipline you to keep going and keep doing this thing.
Yeah, but is it good though? That's the problem. It's
I
so
think
like addictive. It's such a constant
I think
consumption,
it
which is
depends,
not
yeah.
fucking good for us.
Yeah,
It's not
I
good for
agree.
us by
I
any
agree.
means.
I think it's for the amount of time that I've spent on Instagram in my life,
Mm-hmm.
like if I had put that time into something else, I would be so much better off. But, the app is designed to be getting your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't think that's to our benefit 95% of the time.
I wonder what they really feel like they're doing. Like, what are they gaining out of
Money.
keeping our constant attention? Yeah, I
Money.
guess. Yeah,
Ad views, money.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
so
it's actually
fucked.
really scary. That app, like the OPAL app.
Yeah.
This is not an ad for OPAL.
I don't give a fuck. I'll
We're
give you
not-
guys my code for Opal at the end of the episode. I don't give a shit.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Because it's so good. I really think you guys should download it. Even if it's like just for like a week or whatever and you're going to try it. Like there's a pro version of Opal. You said you don't use the pro version of Opal.
No,
you
I
use
just have the free version. Yeah.
Yeah, they give you like a little code though at the end of, when you have an Opal account that you can like share with your friends and then you get a new gem. So if 10 of you fucking sign up, I'll get a really cool gem. So I'll give you guys. I was looking into it last night. I was like, I wonder what my code is. I wrote it down. Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying, Opal?
I was gonna say, when you sign up for the app, you tell like OPAL how long you spend on your phone every day. So if it's like 3 or 4 hours or whatever.
And if you lie, they connect to your screen time anyway, so they'll know.
Yeah. And then they'll tell you like how many years of your life if you live to be like 80 or
Oh God,
90.
I want to check mine because I screenshotted it yesterday.
Yeah, it's really scary.
It
It's like
told me-
10 plus years on your phone.
Mine said the bad news is that you're going to spend 205 days on your phone this year, meaning that you're on track to spend 40 years of your life looking down at your phone.
Yeah, and how sad is that?
That's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I think
horrible.
like there's so much to be said about like the negative impact of spending that much time on social media for like your body and your mental health.
Or even just on your phone. Like, even if you're not talking about social media.
Yeah.
Like, just being on your phone for that long is horrible
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. But there's benefits to it. I think if you can be like super disciplined and only use it when you're like intentionally choosing to, or if you're only using it to post to like build your business. But it's really, really hard to do that.
It is. It is. I think I'm
So-
doing like okay with the podcast Instagram. Like I think I've like somehow figured out how to do the difference and the distinction between posting for business and posting for myself and like letting it consume me. Because I think like the amount of consumption that we do on a regular basis will like quite literally consume us at some point, and we don't even realize it.
Yep.
You know, I can have like a whole day where I'm just scrolling on freaking TikTok or Instagram and like I didn't do shit else.
Yeah.
You know, and then like Josh comes home from work and he's like, "What'd you do today?" And I'm like, "Don't ask me that."
Yeah.
And I just scrolled all day.
I know.
And it's supposed to be relaxing, but like realistically, like all the stuff that I'm consuming is like not great for my mental health. That's not like doing me any good. I'm not learning anything. I could be on masterclass.
Yeah, exactly.
Spending the same amount of screen time and like learning something, and I'm not. You know, which is so bad. Do you feel like smartphones are taking over? And I mean that in like two different ways. Like smartphones are taking over in comparison to professionals like photographers and videographers, and then also in the way of like our smartphones like kind of taking over the world.
No, I think there's something to be said for like influencer marketing that's like done with a phone. Like I feel like the majority of the ads that I see on Instagram now will be like someone, like a TikTok, essentially like someone talking to the camera, like trying to promote a product. So I think that is taking over like marketing, but there's always going to be like a demand for like professional photos and video.
Good.
And that's, at least for now, not something that can be AI generated either. So
that was another question I had for you. Was AI? How do you feel like that's going to have like an impact on? Is it like threatening?
Not to me.
Okay.
I enjoy using like ChatGPT.
I love ChatGPT.
Yeah. I think it's actually saved me a lot of time.
I think so too. Yeah. I actually did an episode yesterday where I was talking about me looking myself up on ChatGPT, which was like a fucking crazy experience. I know I was talking to you about it over dinner, but like it was such a wild thing for me. It like gave me the chills. I was like, why the fuck do you know this information about me? Well, no shit, because you're on the internet, Brianna. Duh. But like still, like I was like, why does it know this? This is very weird. But yeah, ChatGPT personally, like I felt like it's helped my productivity a lot, or it helps me like get kickstarted sometimes. I feel like even sometimes with the podcast, if I'm trying to see what other like points I could make in a podcast, or like what other like maybe questions somebody else would have that's not me, you know, if I don't get a chance to like post on it on Instagram and like ask people like, oh, what would you ask this person, whatever. Sometimes I'll look and just see what ChatGPT has to say, and maybe I'll just grab one question from there or two or something, but it helps keep me like kind of on track of what I'm doing, and like kind of helps me get a little jump start. How do you use it?
I'll use it for help like laying things out. Like I'll be like, okay, like I'm trying to tell this story, like what shots do you think I'll need? Like it's really helpful with like making lists, or for my previous job I was like doing a lot of interviews, so I would tell, you know, I would ask ChatGPT like, hey, I'm interviewing this type of whatever person, I'm trying to make like an impactful video.
Yeah.
Like what are some questions I could ask them that would like draw out some inspiring answers?
Wow.
And it would give me some really good prompts to use for interviews. I mean, some of them were like not great, but like it would get me going like, oh yeah, that's a really good, like I could ask them about this, and then like it'll probably steer the conversation this way. And yeah, so I think for like writing, ChatGPT is good, or like for, I guess, like brainstorming.
Yeah.
Because I don't like working by myself a lot. I don't have like someone I can just like brainstorm with.
True.
You know, so it's like nice to like, I guess, brainstorm with ChatGPT.
That's a really good, I feel like almost like, I guess it could be a closing question. How do you keep yourself motivated when you're like freelancing? How do you like find the motivation to even leave the house sometimes? And
that's honestly something I'm like still figuring out. Okay. I think like as a freelancer, like the biggest struggle is going to be like keeping yourself motivated. I'm still figuring out how to do that. And part of it is like really limiting my time on social media so that I don't have anything else to do but edit whatever I need to edit. And
keep
creating. I'm figuring that out. I'm figuring out how to stay motivated. But I think like the main motivation is that you need to put, you know, you need to pay rent, you need to put food on the table. Yeah. So like that's the ultimate motivation.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like for me as a person that I don't even want to say I work from home or like I'm a freelancer, but I kind of am a freelancer. I feel like I kind of like have a similar lifestyle to like freelancers because I don't go to work every day, you know? And I think the only thing that was something that I personally noticed, and I don't know if anybody else is going to feel like this, but something that I personally noticed is like how I start my morning is so important to the rest of my day and how the rest of my day goes and gets set up. Is like if I'm not having a productive morning and I'm not like getting at it a little bit in the morning, even if that just means like getting up out of my bed within the first like 30 minutes that I wake up and either like doing something like stretching or brushing my teeth or washing my face or getting in the shower or like making coffee or whatever it is. Like if I don't get up and start moving, my whole day is fucked after that because I don't know. And like it sets my tone, I think.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've talked to some people that are like, that does not happen to me. Like I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And then other people are like, oh, I can see how that would, I don't know what that is. So I'm like very excited about the OPAL app because I had set mine intentionally from like 7 a.m. to I think 9 a.m. that I can't do anything at all on social media because that's if I'm waking up in that time frame. First of all, if I'm waking up before 7, that means I have something to do that day. Like I'm like I have to be out of the house for some reason or I have too much on my plate. So I'm probably not going to be on social media anyway. But like from 7 to 9, if I wake up like generally speaking like 8 o'clock every morning or so, if I'm on my phone and I immediately start scrolling, I'm done for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing for like your mental health, and not starting your day scrolling on your phone is like pivotal for me. Like I will like, especially since I stopped doing that, I notice if I ever do start my day like that, like it just like this yucky feeling.
Yeah.
And it's also like it's such a distraction. Like in the morning you should be thinking about what you're gonna spend your day doing, like how your body feels, like, you know, what you want to eat for breakfast, what coffee shop you want to go to. I don't know. But
do you want to go to that coffee shop still later?
Yeah, I'm
Thank
down.
God.
Yeah, I think the less time people spend on social media, the better for them.
Yeah.
But especially like when you first wake up, because like the last thing you want your body to like crave the first thing when you wake up is like
The blue
entertainment and like distraction from your real life.
Yeah.
Like that's like such a weird way to wake up.
Yeah.
So
That's literally URL versus IRL right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm such like a social media basher, and I don't mean to be like, I'm not trying to be like negative. This is just like my personal experience with it. I think I'm also like kind of a sensitive person, so like that's not to say like you can't have a healthy relationship with social media.
No, because you absolutely can have a healthy relationship with social media. Me personally, going through so many different like phases of social media where like I was like doing the influencer thing for a while and then I stopped doing the influencer thing and then I like started a personal account and I was like, okay, I'm just going to be focused on this now. And like, I feel I've noticed so much better when I'm on my podcast's account than when I'm on my own personal account because I feel like I don't get the sense of imposter syndrome and also like the entire podcast, which you are not complaining, by the way. Like, I don't think that you've sounded like a negative like social media basher by any means.
Okay.
I think you're just like talking through your own experience, and that's the whole point of this podcast, and it's supposed to be like an eye-opening thing for people and like kind of bring us back to real life a little bit and like just remind us constantly that like the internet's not real, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
don't take it too seriously and don't let it affect your mental health, and this is the way that it's affected so many other people.
Yeah.
So like if it is affecting your mental health, it's okay because it's happening to other people too, but like don't let it consume you forever. And there's hope for you to make it out on the other side. But I think it is possible to have a healthy relationship with social media, and I think that from me and my own personal experience, I've gone through so many different waves of like I had such an unhealthy relationship, and then I had a semi more healthy relationship because first I was like annoyed by it and I was like, oh my god, this sucks, like nobody wants to see anything but my race car all the time, and then like tried to post other stuff and people were like not interested or like commenting about they didn't want to see that, you know, even if I bought like a different car, they were like, where's the race car, like what the hell. And then I abandoned that account, felt so much better, and then I started the podcast, and now it's like on this thing just as much as I used to be, you know, just as much work. But I think it is possible to have a healthy relationship with it. If you can pick it up, do what you need to do, and put it down, or use it as a
tool,
source of
yeah.
inspiration and motivation, and not like something like that could hurt you.
Yeah.
And I think that what's really interesting, that's something I feel like other people don't really talk about, unless if you're maybe like a creative, is just if you are, I guess, posting. No, if the people that you're following are really important, in my personal opinion. I don't know if other people think like this or not, but for me specifically, like if you go on each one of my different Instagram accounts, you can see that who I'm following is a lot different on each account. It's not like the same people every single time, because like when I had a photography Instagram, I was just following like other inspiring photographers, and like all the other stuff, I didn't really want to see it. Like, I was like, I don't need to see the picture of this person's dog. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't need that. I'm coming on here for motivation and inspiration. So I'm scrolling in the stuff that I want to see. My automotive account was like all automotive people and like other content creators, stuff like that. My personal account, all my friends and family, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then now with URL versus IRL, we only follow the people. I always say we for URL versus IRL. It's literally me. I don't understand why I do that. Josh does produce most of the episodes, but I mean, it's my podcast. But anyway, you'll notice that like on the podcast Instagram account, I only follow the people that have been on the podcast, and that's it, and nobody else. And I'm like, it's just these people. So if you're looking for somebody specific from the podcast, you're gonna find them there. You know, so you'll be in there now. Ooh. Even though you don't post anything.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And like,
right.
I need to. Like, I feel this pressure as a creative to post still, even though I haven't been. But it's like, okay, well, people still need to know I exist.
Yeah.
And that's like the easiest accessible way to remind people that I exist and that I'm still creating and that I'm still, available for work. So
do you think, this is like a really weird off the wall question that I did not have prepared.
What?
Do you think that there's another way for you to, kind of claim your existence and show it without social media?
No.
Nar.
No, it's hard. I think until you have a really established career, like social media is maybe the best tool to grow your like career.
Yeah.
And let people know you exist, which is such a double-edged sword again, because it's like you have to put so much time and energy in. But I can't think of a better tool to build a fan base and an audience than social media. Maybe Instagram isn't the best.
Yeah.
But it depends what, services you're offering. I think YouTube is probably a healthier platform to be on.
The people on YouTube are so nice. I love them. My YouTube audience is my favorite. They will just support anything I do. It feels like, aside from the 1,000 people that unfollowed my YouTube channel, but we don't really care about them that much.
Yeah.
They're fine. They can go do whatever they need to do. If they need automotive content, that's on them. Go for it. But my YouTube audience is always so happy to see me every time that I do come back, and every time that I post a video, they're all there in the chat waiting when I do the premieres and stuff. And
nice.
It's just they feel like family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think content just has a longer shelf life on YouTube. Over time, videos will get more and more time, more and more views.
Yeah.
Whereas on Instagram, it's you post something, it has a very short shelf life, and then you need to post again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
people don't really go find your old content.
No, unless if they like you.
Right. If they're looking at your profile already, they might, yeah. But on YouTube, people are searching for content, and YouTube is showing people both new and old videos, so it doesn't really matter when it was posted. So,
yeah.
whereas on Instagram, you're seeing only new stuff or very recent stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Damn, dude. I feel like that was a really good podcast. What do you think?
I don't know. You tell me. I feel like I blacked out.
No, dude, it was great.
Really?
So, I guess I already asked you my closing question, but I want to ask you one more thing. Do you have a closing statement or like an exclamation point statement, like something that you would want people to get from this podcast or know, if anything?
Okay, there's a few.
Ooh, okay,
It
go for
depends who
it.
I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone who wants to have a creative career,
Uh-huh.
I think what I wish I would have done sooner was learn how to like run a business and find work, because like the Instagram part or the creative part, like posting your work and sharing your work, is like such a small portion of what you need to do to have a successful creative career. I think like the bigger part, like I think skill, you need skill, but you mostly need like the drive and motivation to keep going, and the willingness to put yourself out there and meet people and like ask for jobs and promote yourself. So like a business like networking mindset. I think that's almost more important than skill, because if you could be an amazing photographer, but if you don't tell anyone, like no one's going to hire you. So
Yeah,
like you
true.
need to find a way to promote yourself. And that's still something that I struggle with, because I thought I'll just be the best photographer I can be and like work will find me.
Right.
That's like very far and few in between. Like if I was surviving off shoots that I like people come to me and find me for, like I would not like pay rent. Like you
Right.
have to reach out to brands and other people and find work. So that's honestly part of why I worked at agencies for so long, was because I hated that part. I hated like having to
Sell
self promote, sell
Yeah.
my work. Like I just wanted to create. So I think that's like one of the biggest hurdles as of having a creative career. And then another one would be to like still create for yourself.
That's a hard one.
Yeah,
That
because
can be
like
really
it's
hard.
so easy to create for Instagram and then like kind of forget what you would shoot for yourself. And I got to the point where I'm now pretty much only shooting for myself, and maybe sometimes I feel like sharing that on Instagram, but like there's like rolls and rolls of film that will probably never see the light of day, because like I just wanted to have the memories for myself. And yeah, and then when it comes to like sharing it on social media, it doesn't feel like I need to. Like I don't need everyone to know that I went to this place with this person.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's some stuff you just want to save for yourself, maybe to like print and have in your house, but you don't need to share everything.
You're right.
Yeah. There's probably more I could say, but
You know, the question that I asked you a second ago, where I asked, like, do you think that you can survive without social media, or like what can you do to make yourself stand out in comparison to just being on social
Yeah.
media? What if you like, this is like a super long shot, but what if you like printed the stuff that you like, some of your favorite stuff, like your portfolio in a sense, and carried it in like a super small, like 4x6 or like 5x7 little book?
to like show people or something?
So if you're like trying to tell somebody about like your work and that you're a photographer and you want them to hire you, like I feel like that would be like something that would make you stand out. If you did that to me, like I'd be like, oh my god, she handed me like this like little tactile book that I could like flip through literally, instead of just like pulling up her Instagram, where I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool, and like I scroll through or whatever. Like it might be kind of different to like have it physically in front of you and like be like, holy shit, this is like really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like who would do that?
I mean, no one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone does that. But also, it's like, think about it. Like, how much. Obviously, the impact would be like way bigger.
Yeah.
Like, on the one person that you were to show your work to. But, like, if you're posting on social media, you're showing your work to like hundreds of people.
True.
Thousands of people within like, seconds of posting.
True.
So it's like so much easier. But then it's like the impact is
I
so
feel
small.
like it's a lot smaller though.
Yeah,
because
because
it's not
just
as
like
memorable.
more noise on someone's feed. They're just
Right.
gonna keep scrolling. They might look at it for a second and then they're like, oh, next.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, I feel like if a photographer like handed me like a little thing that they like kept in their purse or something, like I'd be like, holy shit, and then I'd like try to remember who that person was
Yeah.
when I needed a photographer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then you could like keep business cards in there, or like, and then also have your Instagram on the thing so they can find you again. But like that might be kind of a cool thing for you, maybe a new marketing tactic for you to try out.
Yeah, maybe. Then that's also like you're putting yourself out there in a way more vulnerable way, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because if someone's like, what the fuck is this? Or like.
That's courageous, though. What do you
Right,
mean?
it is
And you're
courageous,
great.
but like I think that's what I'm saying. I think it requires more courage than just like, because you don't see people's reactions to your work like online, which is part of why I think it's so meaningless. It feels meaningless.
Yeah.
Because it's like one like. It's like you don't know who that person is and how much they liked it and like what impact it had on them. It's like really hard to measure, like the impact of your work when you're just posting it online because you're not seeing like anyone's reaction to it.
True.
So,
Yeah.
or no one's like actually telling you, hey, this was amazing. Like, I really love these photos. Like, I mean, I guess people can comment, but it's still like the weight of it is like so insignificant. I feel like it's hard to like, measure the impact.
Yeah.
Which I think it's like such a double-edged sword. I keep saying that word, double-edged sword.
That's been the theme of today.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's a very easy way to share your work with the world, but also like the return is not that satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just going to keep, it's just numbers. Like 1,000 likes, 100 likes. Like, what does that even mean anymore? Like, it depends what you're comparing yourself to. And you're always going to be wanting more and more and more and more. Otherwise, it feels like you're just like stagnant and people are like getting bored of your work or something. But like, it's still, whatever, 1,000 people liked your work. That's a lot. But it doesn't feel, when it's just a number, it doesn't feel like that significant.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's too bad we don't think of money the same way.
Right?
Yeah. But it really is. It's just numbers.
No, I think money is the same way. The more money you have, the more money you want. Like, it's never enough.
Yeah.
Right?
But
like,
then you look at, like, somebody could have, like, $100,000 in their bank account and they look at it and it's just a number.
Yeah.
To some people. Just like it is on, like, Instagram for some people. Like, 100,000 likes. They're like, okay.
Yeah. They're like, all right, my
like
last
Shay
post
Mitchell.
did better. Like,
yeah.
It's like you're constantly raising the roof and you're never, like, satisfied. I think that's the problem. It's like you can always do more, you can always do better, and like someone else that you follow is doing better, so you're comparing yourself to someone else constantly. And I don't think like anyone's ever like, oh, I got, my post got this many likes, like that's great. Like,
yeah.
And then they never get the same amount of likes anyways, so it's I don't know. I feel like maybe that's an intentional like mind game Instagram's playing with us to keep us like dissatisfied and posting more and more and more. Because if we were satisfied with posting, maybe we wouldn't post as much.
Yeah, literally so true. Do you feel like there's anything that's gonna like satisfy our hunger? Quench our thirst?
I don't think online.
Yeah.
But I think in real life, yes. I think like feeling the impact of whatever you're making in real life. Like, let's say, showing your friends some printed photos or giving your friend a print. Yeah. Like, that would have so much more impact on me, or it does have more of an impact on me than, like, posting something on social media ever could. Because it's like I don't know. I think sharing your work with people you love in your real life is more important. But I guess this kind of advice only really applies to someone who is creative, like a photographer, really. So maybe not the majority of your listeners.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's a good like piece of advice for anybody that it could possibly apply to. You know what I mean? Like, could be somebody that's a photographer that's getting into photography, maybe, or is going to get into photography in 5 years from now and remembers that they listened to this podcast talking to you. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, what is that thing that girl said? And then they go back to it and they listen to it later and they're like, oh. Yeah. So it's good. It's good. I feel like we did good. How do you feel?
I feel good.
You have anything else that you want to say?
Yeah, maybe one more thing.
Hell yeah.
I think like different things are going to work for different people, especially with social media. Like, it could be that you feel totally fine spending an hour or two out of your day scrolling and posting, and it's not like this. I think like I've blown it up into a way bigger thing in my head than maybe it is for most people. Just because like that's how Instagram has made me feel. It's not made me feel great most of the time. So that's why I've like, restricted my use and like put so much thought into like why doesn't it make me feel good? But like I guess that's probably not the case for everyone. And I think it's entirely possible to have like an online presence and like really healthy boundaries with it and like, still feel really satisfied posting. So maybe, my thoughts are not like applicable. I mean, they're definitely not applicable to everyone because my experience is unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like just do what feels good to you. And if it's okay to delete the app for like a week or two and have a reset, I think that's really important to take breaks.
Yes. Yeah, it is so okay to delete an app.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Well, maybe not if you're me, but
no, I mean, I think like you should be able to delete social media and be fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise, what kind of
I could do it. I think it's just like literally, like I said before, it's like the weird like fear that I have that I'm not going to be able to log back in, and like I worked to get my business accounts to where they are. You know what I mean? And like I worked for my following.
Yeah, I think that's an irrational fear though, that you're just telling yourself that. That's an excuse.
I think it's because I've gotten locked out of my account enough times.
Really?
Yeah.
That's never happened to me.
That's why you're not afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just because I've gotten locked out of my account enough times that I'm like, fuck, am I gonna? But OPAL doesn't actually, like, going back to OPAL,
It doesn't delete the app.
It doesn't actually delete it. It literally disables it. Like your app turns like a.
You just can't open it.
It like turns the exposure down on the app. Like
Yeah.
that's what it looks like on your phone, and like it tells you like it's a message from OPAL when you go to open the app instead of.
It's like some weird
it being
AI
Instagram.
generated prompt. It's
Yeah.
like Instagram was eaten by a shark, or like
Yeah.
Instagram went to the grocery store and will be back soon. It's really weird,
Yeah,
but it
is
works.
weird.
So
It's different for each app too. I've noticed.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yep, absolutely. It's totally okay to take a break, you guys.
Yeah, I think it's important to take a break.
I think so,
that
too.
you can like figure out what your relationship to social media even is. Because if it's like, for me, it was something that was part of my life for like years and years and years that I didn't even realize like how much weight I put on it and how important it was to me, that like it took me deleting the app and having like kind of an identity crisis without it. And I realized like that's not how I want to live my life. Like I don't want to have I don't want to have a dependence on this app to make me feel like I'm important or make me feel like I'm somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with like using the app and having a lot of followers, is that you get like this kind of an inflated sense of self. You feel like some importance, and then if you don't have the app, you're like, it's kind of like it's inflated your ego, and then when you delete it, you're like, oh, I guess like I'm just a regular person again.
Yep.
And it's kind of an adjustment, which it shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just this online world that doesn't really matter.
Stupid, silly little app.
So yeah, I think take a break, figure out how it impacts your daily life and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, thinking about it is really important, because when you don't think about it, it'll consume you by accident.
Yep.
Or it might.
Yeah, it might. You might not even realize how much you depend on it. And you never know, like, what if Instagram just disappeared? Would your life, like...
That's happened a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, not for long.
Yeah.
Not for long enough, damn it.
But then everybody goes to Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or X or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think it's time.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think we're good. That was all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll the outro music.
Okay, bye.
Are you fucking kidding me? No way. All right, talk to you soon on the next URL versus IRL. Well, you guys, that was absolutely the conversation that needed to be had. Gosh, I love Laura so much. I really hope that you guys loved her too. As I said, Laura and I used to be roommates, so we could have absolutely sat here on the couch and talked for 4 hours if you would have allowed us to, which I'm sure you guys probably would have, but I'm not trying to drag everybody through that. But hopefully you guys got a little bit of insight on some of the nuances that the internet creates and, kind of the way that it shapes our creativity in a sense, or at least how it shapes it for the two of us and how it kind of affects the two of us. I feel like that was a conversation that you don't hear that often, and that's exactly what I'm here to do on the podcast. So I think if you can take anything away from this podcast, I would say don't let the internet defeat you. And like Laura said just a second ago, it is absolutely okay to take a break from social media. And like, as much as you think that like, oh my God, everybody's going to miss me, like realistically, like you come back and then people are like, oh yeah, that person was gone for a little while, but I don't feel like anybody's really, really suffering by you taking a break for yourself. So it's really important for you to be able to do that. If you guys decide that you actually want to download that app that Laura and I were both talking about like a couple of times on this podcast, it's called OPAL, which is spelled OPAL. Obviously, I'm going to leave all the links in the description below for you guys like I always do. But my code for OPAL is 2P922. Yeah, I feel like the last thing I want to say is be yourself and not who you think that the online world needs you to be. And that's about it, you guys. Go get your hands on something creative. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for listening and taking the time out of your day to listen to me yap with my friends. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you guys are like doing laundry or driving or you're in the shower or getting ready for work, whatever it is. I hope this had a little bit of a positive impact on you, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye.